All right, so let's talk about phase one of the portfolio pyramid. This is your foundation, and you need to build your foundation first. For those of you out there who are still working on your first 100K, maybe you're working towards your first 200K invested, and you haven't gotten to that point in time yet, you need to only be focusing on your foundation. The foundation of your portfolio is what is going to allow you to achieve financial freedom no matter what the market does, because we are trying to make something that will be resilient throughout time. And long-term investors know that if you stay invested over the long term and have your foundation in the right place, you will be able to be resilient when the market takes dips. Now, let me give you an example of this because I want to make sure that this hits home. When we are building out this foundation, we want to focus on very specific investments. And you want to do your own research on which stocks, index funds, ETFs, those types of things you are buying. And so when we do this, I think most people need to focus on 3 core areas. One is index funds. So index funds should be the core of your portfolio because over the long run, most of us know that broad-based index funds are going to outperform most professional money managers. The professional money managers that are on Wall Street sitting there with a team of Harvard and Yale graduates cannot outperform the S&P 500. So why do we think, as individual investors, we should have less than the majority of our portfolio in something else? In my personal opinion, I don't think that you should, but you can do your own research when you are thinking through this. So what I want you to do is I want you to build out your foundation and create the plan for your foundation. So for me specifically, this is broad-based index funds and ETFs. So thinking of things like VOO. So VOO is the ETF at Vanguard for the S&P 500. So this is a big, large core ETF that has the 500, actually it's a little more than 500 companies within the S&P 500, the 500 largest companies in the U.S. stock market. Well, this is going to be a great core holding for a foundational investor, someone who is still on their foundation. Maybe something like VTI, for example. This is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, and VTSAX is the index fund of VTI. This is a great holding as well. Maybe it's something like QQQM, where it's the NASDAQ 100, where you're holding the 100 largest companies within the U.S. stock market. Maybe you feel as though, well, my risk tolerance says to me, well, I'd rather have a little bit of bonds in there in that portfolio as well. And so you hold bonds in your portfolio during this time frame. And so this is something where you are thinking through, what are the broad-based funds that I should be holding as the foundation of my portfolio? And so this needs to be, for most people out there, as you start to progress through this portfolio, this needs to be 80% of your portfolio, in my opinion. 85% is where you should land with the basics, the index funds, the ETFs, or the third option, which is a target date fund. So I like target date index funds or target date ETFs because they allow you to have a specific time horizon that you are targeting, and you can invest your dollars in that time horizon. It's going to adjust your asset allocation based on when you retire. Now, what I don't like about these is when they have those ranges or the time frame of when you are going to retire, a lot of people will choose the year they're going to retire, but it doesn't fit their asset allocation. So you want to make sure that if you're looking at target date index funds or target date ETFs, that you are choosing a time horizon that fits your risk tolerance. So most of you may have logged into your 401k before, or maybe you logged into your IRA and you saw funds in there that maybe said the Vanguard Target Date Retirement Fund 2045, for example. Well, if you are someone who wants to have the majority of your portfolio in bonds and you just wanted to get into target date retirement funds as you got started investing, or it's the only thing that your 401k offers, well, you want to make sure that it fits your risk tolerance and the mix of stocks and bonds in that target date retirement fund reflect that. So just because you're planning on retiring in 2045 doesn't mean you want to select the 2045 fund. Maybe you want a more aggressive allocation, and so you select the 2060 or 2065 fund because it has the majority of that portfolio in stocks. This is why target date retirement funds aren't optimal for most people, but they're fantastic to get the ball rolling and to get started so you actually get your dollars invested. And so when it comes to these 3 areas, building out that foundation, I think a lot of people need to think about this. Then you want to make sure that you're building or adding in other index funds and ETFs that may fit your core portfolio. Maybe you want some international exposure. As of late, as the time I'm recording this, a lot of folks are running towards international index funds because the economic certainty of the U.S. is is rocky in their mind. I am still, and this for some reason is controversial now, I am still extremely bullish on the U.S. economy and the U.S. going forward. All the biggest companies are in the U.S. All the biggest AI companies are based in the U.S. And if you think international is going to outperform the U.S. stock market, I think you are off your rocker. You need to understand that the U.S. economy still has the biggest, largest companies that run the entire world. And so for most people, if you want to add international exposure, I don't blame you. More power to you. And you can do that in this foundational portfolio here at the very beginning. This is a great time to look at that. Maybe you are someone who wants to add in some additional index funds and ETFs in other sectors. Well, we're going to talk about when to do that next, but I don't think it should be in your foundation. I don't think it should be in the core part of your portfolio where we have this 80%. Now, for those of you under $200,000 invested, and especially if you're under $100,000 invested, you should not be focusing on anything else outside of the core foundation. It should be 100% of your portfolio should be all the things within the core foundation. Everything outside of the foundation should come later on as you started to build a little bit more wealth. But when you are just getting the ball rolling, it is absolutely ridiculous to think that you should be investing in commodities or Bitcoin or these other things that are coming up that we'll be talking about here. It should only be the foundation until you earn the right to then move up the next level. Now, it sounds like, well, earning the right is one of those terms that I think most people need to understand that you got to put your time in. Just like anywhere else, you got to put your time in with investing, buying the boring stuff. Hey, I know it's boring. I know it's not fun to talk about this stuff, but I think later on down the line is when you should be adding additional things to your portfolio. Now, phase two. Phase two is going to be really important because we are talking about the growth layer. This is the growth allocation. These are the things that you can add in. Now, let me just make this caveat up front as we go through this. You need to note that your entire portfolio could be the foundation. I have a lot of retirement accounts where my entire portfolio is only the foundation. They are literally index funds, ETFs, that's all I have, and it's the basic, boring stuff. We just had JL Collins on the show recently. His entire portfolio is only the foundation. He has VTSAX. His entire accumulation life cycle was VTSAX. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You could stop here and your allocation could be 100% of the foundation. Why? Because the foundation is safe. The foundation is proven to outperform most professional money managers, which means you're going to be making more money with the foundation. And in addition, it is the passive way to invest. You don't have to think about your investments anymore. You can auto invest into the foundation and not have to worry. And I think for most people out there, you need to understand that the foundation can be your entire portfolio. And for a lot of smart investors, it is. Now, part two is let's talk about the growth layer, because the growth layer is going to be a layer that adds a little more flair and a little bit more fun to your portfolio. I right now, for example, am buying a lot of different things that are adding into the growth layer. So let's talk about what that is. This is where you can take slightly more targeted risk when you're trying to get some higher returns. Now, are you going to outperform the S&P 500? The statistics say most likely you're not. But if you like the game, if you like buying individual stocks, if you like looking at additional funds, or you like dividend stocks, or you like some of these other sectors, then you can absolutely look at this growth layer as something where you add in some different holdings into your portfolio. And we'll be talking about the growth layer a little bit more because I am actively doing it. I will be talking about some of these different options a lot more on this show as we get going here. So these could be things like sector funds. So let's say, for example, you want to buy index funds and ETFs in different sectors. You could look at the tech sector, for example. If you are very bullish on AI, as I am, then you can look at tech sector ETFs that maybe you want to buy more of. Or maybe you want to invest more in healthcare because you are interested in buying more healthcare sector funds because you know healthcare long-term is most likely going up because we have a healthcare problem in this country. And most of these healthcare companies are very profitable. Maybe, and this is a very common one for a lot of folks who ask questions to this show, is you want to invest in REITs or real estate investment trusts, and you want a passive way to get real estate exposure. And so your interest is to do that. Or maybe you're looking at additional sectors or funds. Maybe you want to invest in utilities or whatever else. There's so many different styles of funds that are out there. This is the time to do it. But in addition, if you also want to add in emerging markets, or you want to add in small caps, or you want to add in some of those that aren't included in the broad-based index funds in the foundation, this is another great place to do that. And a lot of folks out there are interested in dividend stocks. So dividend growth funds are something I think are a very powerful wealth building tool, especially as you get them growing over time. And this is another thing where time will compound these dividend growth stocks to a massive amount, especially when you are doing dividend reinvestment. And so because of this, you can start to add these funds into your portfolio as well, and it can be a big core strategy for a lot of folks. I know a lot of people who have retired with dividend stocks because they produce enough cash flow to fund their lifestyle. And so this is a great time to look into this. And if you're looking or interested in international or emerging markets, some of those markets are where a lot of folks are taking some of their dollars when they are uncertain about the economy. This could be another great spot to do that as well. I specifically am investing a lot more in sector ETFs and or a lot more in individual stocks in this area. For example, I just bought a number of different stocks recently, including Amazon, was one that I thought was pretty undervalued. I invested in SoFi, was another one I thought was pretty undervalued. I've been investing even more individually into NVIDIA because I think NVIDIA is just going to be a company that continues to grow over time. I've been investing in Meta and some other individual stocks as well. Now, this is because I see some of these as undervalued investments. I see some of these. I'm about to actually buy some Microsoft in the next couple of weeks. And at the time recording this, I'm recording this in early April, and this is a time frame where I see some undervalued stocks across the board. And so when I see that, I am going to buy some of these individual stocks. Now, none of this is something that I think you should do, but I do think if you understand how the market works and you understand what you are doing, then you can definitely add in some individual stocks to your portfolio. I just like having them. I like researching them. I like diving deeper into these companies. I like understanding why they are moving in the direction they move. And if you are not interested in that stuff, if you are not interested in diving deeper and doing the work to make sure that you understand why you are buying what you're buying, then it's not worth it for you. It's not worth it for you to dabble in this arena if you don't need to. Same thing goes for people who are invested in dividend growth stocks. For example, if you are looking at dividend growth stocks, there's a lot of utility companies. There's a lot of old-fashioned railroad companies. There's these dividend aristocrats that you can buy, companies like Johnson & Johnson, companies like Clorox or Procter & Gamble. And these are companies that you got to dive deeper in and understand how the dividend growth has been over time and what is going to happen going forward. If you're looking at REITs, you want to understand what those REITs are investing in. What are some of the communities they are investing in? What is the overview of what their strategy is going forward? Do they have anchor tenants if they're commercial? Are they looking at residential housing? How are they thinking about this and building out their portfolio? All of this is imperative, and you must know this stuff before you invest in some of these different companies. And so when you're thinking about this, this adds a layer of potential that you could have up front. But in addition, most likely for most investors, they are not going to outperform the S&P, which is why you want to keep this as a smaller percentage. So the growth layer, in my opinion, and in this portfolio pyramid is going to be anywhere from 15 to 20%, depending on what you do with some of the next steps. So you can have 15 to 20%, or you can have 0% and have 100% of it be the foundation. I'm going to keep reiterating that with the foundation because I want you to note as you start to build this out. Now, this just adds that extra layer, and this is the way I want you to think about it.